Now, obviously, you had some terrible news on the defense, man, losing Devin Bush, man. That definitely sucked. Reports are saying that it's an ACL, so he's out for the year.
Yeah.
But, man, I just wanted to shout out Robert Spillane, though, man, a guy who, let's be real about it, man, when training camp started, a lot of people probably didn't even have him even making a roster, but to see him being able to come in there and play quality minutes and make big time impact plays. We saw the big tackle he had on the tight end on the screen. My favorite
He had
play
one
from
in the
him,
middle of the field.
Yeah, my favorite play from him, obviously this was the only first down the Browns had, was him meeting up with Kareem Hunt on the outside. I loved it though, because number one, it showed great recognition from a pass game standpoint, a route concept standpoint. And once he made the initial contact, it didn't allow his feet to die. Even though, like I said, Kareem ended up getting that half a yard to get the first down, I thought it was a great play overall for Robert, man. And it was good to see a young guy come in, because you never know with younger guys, right? You don't know their preparation. You don't know if the moment's going to be too big for them. At the time he came in, it was the second quarter. It wasn't like we felt that the game was in control, but it wasn't like the game was over in the second quarter. So to see him being able to come in there and produce and play, like I said, encourage and in the run game, I thought he did a really, really good job.
Yeah, I got a couple questions about him going forward, I guess, with you, because one side of it's like, oh, wow, it didn't feel like we missed a beat with him out there. He looked really good. I thought he looked decisive. I thought he looked pretty quick out there. Obviously, the big hits that he had. But then in the back in your mind, you're thinking, this is too good to be true. You know what I mean? You don't have a dude that just fills in for the talent that Devin Bush is, and we don't miss something. There isn't something in this guy's game where you're like, oh man, I don't know, could we be lacking in this aspect? So I don't know, how do you feel about him going forward? They're saying he's going to be the green helmet guy. He's going to be the starting middle linebacker now.
Well, this is the thing, man. Honestly, you can go two ways with this, and there is no right or wrong way. It's more so personal preference. So the first thing we're talking about in terms of them rolling with Spillane, okay? Is he going to have some inefficiencies? Absolutely. There's a reason why you had Devin Bush starting, but there's also a reason why Vince Williams was starting. So you have to think, okay, if this guy wasn't better at both the run game and pass game than Vince Williams, then okay, he does have some issues. What are they? And then from there, you kind of go with it. But there's a reason why Devin Bush was drafted where he was drafted. There's a reason why Devin Bush is who he is. It's very similar to Ryan Shazier in terms of why Ryan was who he was. And then when he went down, the impact it felt. They're going to feel not having Devin Bush out there, regardless of if they stay with Spillane, if they use a combination, because I've seen reports where they're going to use a combination, Spillane on your traditional rundowns, but then Marcus Allen, who've been working exclusively at inside linebacker since training camp, getting in there for some of the sub package ball and passing situations and stuff like that. But then they still like Ulysses Gilbert as well in terms of what he could bring from an athletic ability standpoint. Honestly, Gilbert probably is the closest thing to Devin in terms of athletic ability, in terms of being able to run and covering things like that. But obviously Gilbert right now doesn't give you what you get in the run game with him either. Whereas Spillane, from a run game standpoint, he's going to be able to give you that. But from a coverage standpoint, he will be limited to certain things. Because when you're talking about, just Devin Bush, we talked about how even though he was playing well, he still struggled against a guy like Noah Fant. You don't want Spillane or Vince having to guard those type of guys, or Mark Andrews coming up in the next 2 weeks. So that's the thought process. So yes, you can get away with it, but it's gonna be tough. But the beauty is he's been in the system. He already understands it. So you don't have to go through the period of him getting up to speed. Now, like I said, that's one way to go about it in terms of just sticking with him predominantly and using a rotation of him and, like I said, the other two guys we listed. Overall, like I said, man, I think they're still going to be fine. Knowing Coach Tomlin, Keith Butler, they're going to find ways to mask the inefficiencies early on until everybody gets up to speed and until they find their new identity in terms of replacing Devin Bush in that regard.
Who knows? Spillane could be a hidden gem or something. Maybe, we'll see. Because I love his play. Even Tomlin said he stepped up to the occasion. He answered the bell. And
I will say this too. Just by watching them, he's been playing on defense. The Jets. The opening game against the Giants. He had some time in there as well. So it's not as if he wasn't trusted prior to this game. He's had opportunities.
I'm surprised it was him. Was Allen not dressed?
I'm not sure.
I don't know if Gilbert was dressed either.
I know Gilbert hasn't been dressed, but the thing with Allen, like I said, for him, he's more coverage right now. So unless you were going to put him in exclusively for coverage, that's hard to do in game. If you're talking about right now, preparing throughout the week, you can get creative and say, okay, this is your package. You're going to come in anytime we call dime defenses, you're out there.
Yeah.
But if we go nickel, you're not out there. That's easy to do during the week. We can practice. I can make sure the guys out there know you're supposed to be out there with them. The communication is where it needs to be. You know who you're talking to. A run gap standpoint, because at safety, that's another thing with Minka, right? Minka didn't have to worry about the run gaps. He had to worry about what? Let me know if it's cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, 4, 5, 6. Are y'all playing it as a matchup, or are y'all playing it as like a traditional zone? After that, it's more so just, all right, these are the little nuances of the call, but you can get away with it. In that box, though, as a box linebacker, you not only got to know all that coverage stuff, but you also got to know all these run gaps. We talked about how we saw, okay, if you're out of the gap for one, if one guy is out of his gap, that's the difference between a no-yard gain and a 10, 15-yard gain. That's the difference when you talk about playing a guy like Marcus Allen, who hasn't had a lot of experience at inside linebacker. You put those guys in there, you're going to have to deal with that as well, man. So that's the only reason why I wasn't surprised them not going to Marcus. Like I said, I don't even know if he was dressed in the game or not, but that was one of the things why I wasn't really surprised. But now that you have a full week to practice and get this plan going, man, I do anticipate him getting some time out there.
Okay.